I don't see color. You've probably heard that one before, usually coming from someone going on about how not racist they are, or by politicians and business owners talking about how their admissions should be quote-unquote merit-based and how race should have nothing to do with someone's consideration for a job or getting into school. An example of this rhetoric happened on August 20th, 2024, when University of Nebraska-Lincoln Chancellor Ronnie Bennett announced the closure of the Campus Office of Diversity and Inclusion. The office serves students belonging to marginalized communities, and the closure was praised by Nebraska Governor Jim Pillen, who used a lot of meritocratic and colorblind rhetoric in his public statement on the matter, which goes, quote, "The work of eliminating DEI and critical race theory from our public institutions is not complete with the elimination of one bureaucratic office. We must continue the work of keeping our university curriculum, programming, and its mission free of discrimination or racial preferences in any form. The University of Nebraska should be open and equally welcoming to people of all races and creeds, focused on discipline, excellence, and integrity, not race-based DEI," end quote. The thing about DEI and not seeing color is that we need to look beyond the buzzwords that these terms have become and dive into what they really mean. According to data from UNL on its own student demographics, the student body is 75% white, 10% Latino, 3% Black, and 8% other races. Comparing these to the state demographics, we find that Black and Latino people are slightly underrepresented in the university system. On top of that, all other racial groups are miles behind the white population in terms of demographic makeup. So why is it that white people are so much more represented in the Midwest as a whole? One factor contributing to this white-dominated population in Nebraska is policies like the Homestead Act of 1862, which was a policy meant to increase settlement in the Kansas-Nebraska territories, giving 160 acres to anyone who resided on the land for 5 years. This policy only applied to whites. It took Native Americans' land away and gave it to white families and European immigrants, excluding other racial groups. With this in mind, given the exclusionary history of the U.S., it does nothing to suddenly declare that race does not matter, and that it is inadvisable to take it into consideration when building institutions and policies. Ignoring the systematic way that the United States has denied rights and material benefits from people of color since its inception only serves to quote-unquote start people off on unequal grounds. People are not starting on equal footing in today's age. Things started hundreds of years ago, and the government and its lawmakers have been accruing advantages for those who are white for centuries. The rescinding of racially explicit language and policy is a start, but it is not the full step when there is still informal segregation and biases present in societal institutions, such as universities. The point of DEI programs is not to give people of color advantages, but rather to make up for disadvantages that those groups have historically faced. White people have built more wealth for themselves by excluding other races legally for a long time, and if we ever want to live in a society that is truly equal, we must take steps towards ending those advantages for whites as well as the disadvantages for others.